I think we've all been to those conferences where, all right, you show up and it's obvious. Most people here already know each other. They've known each other for years. Like, how do I break in? Which is why we were really intentional about designing the agenda. The very first event of annual conference is a new member first timers reception. And so the first event that they show up to within the conference, they have 3 of our veteran members looking out for their badge that says first timer or new member on it. And they immediately welcome them. So you're not having to show up and be like, all right, who do I talk to first here? You have people kind of approaching them and being like, oh, thank you so much for coming. We emailed together. I'm Kathy. I'm the membership committee chair. And then they put a face with a name. And it's just that warm connection right off the bat. And that sets the stage for a great conference the next couple of days.
This is Associations Thrive, the podcast celebrating successful associations and their leaders. I'm your host, Joanna Pineda, CEO and Chief Troublemaker at Matrix Group International. Listen in as top association executives tell all, revealing the creative and innovative ways they're increasing membership, generating revenue, nurturing engagement, and reimagining their organizations. By the way, if you've launched a new initiative, created new member services, or updated your governance structure and are seeing great results, I want to hear your story, and so do my listeners. I'd love to have you as a guest. Go to podcast.matrixgroup.net and apply to be on Associations Thrive. Now let's dive into this week's show. Today, I'm speaking with David Walsh, Executive Director of the Virginia Society of Association Executives, or VSAE. David, welcome to the show.
Joanna, thanks so much for having me. Awesome to be on the show.
David, tell us about VSAE.
Yeah, so VSAE is the professional society for association executives across the state of Virginia. We have over 450 members and, leading professional societies, trade associations, all different roles within associations. So it could be CEOs, executive directors, it could be emerging leaders, membership managers, and we provide connection, education, learning, and leadership opportunities for those association professionals through a variety of different gatherings and events. And then we also have associate members. So, suppliers to the industry could be hotels, CVBs, but also technology providers, financial services, anything that association might look to improve and increase the efficiency of their business and innovate. We have those types of companies in the fold as well.
David, if I'm an association exec in the state of Virginia, and maybe I'm in the middle of the state or I'm in Northern Virginia, you're based out of Richmond. Are you servicing members all over the state?
Absolutely, all over the state. And I actually just moved down to Richmond from Northern Virginia. So Northern Virginia is my home, but that's one of the strategic priorities of the board is to service professionals all around the state, including Northern Virginia, where so many association professionals live and work. And we recently launched, which you were there, obviously, Joanna, and spoke at our Northern Virginia Association Exchange in April. It was a terrific first event, but a way to provide needing learning opportunities to association professionals in Northern Virginia. And those events, by the way, are open to anyone in the state. So, we had people that were driving up or across to that location, providing those needed learning opportunities. But I think most importantly, providing a sense of community and a venue for peer exchange in kind of an informal, closer knit setting than they might get at a very large conference somewhere else. So it's kind of these gatherings right in their backyard. And we're super excited to launch it. We have a couple other events coming up this year as well in Northern Virginia.
I think that's really interesting. I've talked to many of my clients who say, I like to be a member of ASAE and my state SAE because I get different things. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. It's always good to have options. ASAE is terrific education and learning. VSAE, I think, is really strong in delivering that kind of sense of community and just really frequent gatherings in Virginia. We have an event, at least one, if not more, per month in Virginia. So we have 3 on the calendar this year for Northern Virginia. We have about 5 events in Richmond, just coming off of our annual conference in Williamsburg. So it's a really accessible community no matter where you are in the state. And It's kind of those closer knit gathering opportunities. We have roundtable discussions. So just a way for association professionals, no matter their role, to get with their peers, exchange ideas, talk about what their organizations are going through and how we can all succeed together.
Well, David, we have a lot to talk about when it comes to VSAE, but first, I want to turn to your journey. So how do you get to become executive director of VSAE?
Yeah, you know what? I think everyone's association journey is interesting. Not many people, when they're 10 years old, say, I want to grow up and be an association executive. My story is interesting because my mom is actually an association lifer. I say she worked in associations for over 40 years.
Oh my God. I don't know that I've met someone who had a mom who was an association lifer.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So she was actually an art major at Northern Virginia Community College right there and got into graphic design and marketing and became an association executive for a few associations in kind of the telecommunications tech space. And I had the opportunity to intern at her association once in high school, once in college. And that's what really got my feet wet and kind of learning what associations are all about. And then after college, and I know we'll get to it, but I had kind of a meeting planning role for a government contractor for a year. And I was like, let me look into associations. So that's when I found, then it was called Snack Food Association. Now it's called Snack International. I had a variety of different roles with Snack. And I think that's what positioned me to step into this leadership role with VSAE, is just all the different roles. That's an international trade association, but it's also a fairly small staff. So it helped me kind of learn about the day-to-day operations of all the different areas of association management while keeping that kind of high-level global perspective. And I think that has suited me well in stepping into this role with VSAE.
David, that's astonishing. So growing up, you had a mom who worked at associations, probably talked a lot about membership. At the time, did you say, wow, that's kind of interesting, I think I want to follow in your footsteps? Or was it oh, that's kind of interesting, I'm going to figure something else out, and then you came back to it?
Yeah, good question. No, I always thought it was pretty interesting. And then graduating college, wasn't really exactly sure what I wanted to do. I was an econ and history double major at UVA, but I graduated in 2010. Job market was tough at the time, right? And I found this role with Army Strong Bonds. It was a meeting planning firm that services Army Strong Bonds government program. And the whole program was about soldiers that were deployed and coming back into society, whether it's family life, re-entering the workforce. I worked directly with Army chaplains to plan their retreats.
Mm.
And it was all about providing counseling and connection opportunities for soldiers that were getting deployed and redeployed and helping them integrate back into life. So it was a really great cause, but it really helped me learn and gain experience in the meeting planning area. So negotiating hotel contracts on any given weekend, I couldn't be at all these retreats, but I could have 7 different retreats that I was responsible for going on a weekend. So I had to make sure that all the details were very buttoned up, or I'd be getting a call at 7 a.m. on a Saturday saying, hey, we were supposed to have orange juice for this meeting. Where is it? So I had to make sure that everything was really planned and ready to go. So I was there for about a year. And then I was like, I've had this association experience. I'm living in Northern Virginia, the capital for associations. Let me look into see what's out there for associations. And that's where I found Snack Food Association. And I've been passionate about association and association management ever since I stepped into that role.
So how'd you find VSAE, and what was that like to step into an ED job, a chief staff exec job?
Yeah, great question.
Because it's different, right?
Absolutely.
Every single one of my guests who's a first-time CEO says, oh man, I thought I knew, but it's different.
Absolutely. Yeah. So just looking at my Snack Food Association roles, I stepped in as a membership and meetings coordinator. So base level, kind of small staff, really close to the details of membership and meetings, which is so important. Membership and meetings are critical to what many associations do. So learning firsthand about the details. From there, I stepped into a more of a membership and marketing role for a couple of years. So, learning about communications and marketing. Then I was actually a federal lobbyist for a few years. So learning about the advocacy and so important to what trade associations do. And then kind of graduated from the lobbyist role to a VP of membership and communications. That was my most recent role with Snack International for about 6 years. So by doing that, I had kind of a great perspective and picture of all the different areas of association management. And my wife and I have little kids. She's from Richmond. We have 4 little kids. We had been kind of contemplating a move down to Richmond where her family is. And I just kind of stumbled upon this VSAE opportunity located in Richmond. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So went for that job, got it, obviously. And it was really interesting stepping from a VP role with the International Trade Association to an executive director role with the state group, and great opportunity to kind of step into that leadership role. It's a lot different in that, you have to be a little higher level, a little more strategic thinking.
You're not checking on the orange juice.
Exactly. Yeah, not checking on the orange juice. But I also kind of am, Joanna, we were together at the Northern Virginia Association Exchange. Sometimes you do have to be that sole meeting planner for an event like that and making sure that the food is delivered and set out. And that's why we also rely a lot on our volunteer leaders, our board, to step in and actually do a lot of work and step up and make sure things are running smoothly as well. But to your point about not checking on the orange juice every day, you do have to be a little higher level, a little more strategic thinking, working with a board of directors to make sure that we're setting the strategy for the association and not always jumping right into tactics. And, it goes back to that CAE, Chief Staff Executive mindset. You're not always doing everything, but you're making sure that the resources and your team and your volunteer leaders are in place to be able to accomplish your mission.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for that. Let's turn to VSAE. How's membership?
Yeah, membership is great. We have over 450 members. It's about 2/3 association professionals, and it's growing too as we capitalize on other areas of the state, bring in more future leaders that are coming in to the profession. There's a lot of changeover in the chief staff executive role, so bringing them in as well. And it's a great story. We just came off of our annual conference, super energizing last week at the Colonial Williamsburg Lodge, and we partner with our host there at Colonial Williamsburg as well as Visit Williamsburg. They put on a great experience, but we had over 50 first timers and over 200 registrants, which was
wow,
the first time we've had those numbers in more than a decade. So
what'd you do differently that worked?
Well, one, I think the location was really helpful. From Richmond, people could drive there in an hour and come in for maybe just a day.
And same with Northern Virginia.
Same with Northern Virginia. I think one of the things that helped really sell the program and really make sure that people had permission authorization to attend was just the robustness of the education program there. I think we had 10 different sessions. We're offering over 7 CAE credits for people that are trying to get their CAE or maintain their CAE. So there is a lot of great selling points for the program, but we work directly with our membership committee to identify prospects and really maybe more aggressively than we had been inviting them with a direct outreach. So we're not just sending out blast emails and hoping people show up. We're making phone calls, sending emails, and those are coming not only from myself, but from our volunteer leaders. And I think the message is that much more powerful when you have a current member of an organization saying, hey, this is a good home for you. This is where you need to be. And it's not just a staff person selling. It's more of a testimonial and a referral at that point. So I think that really helped give us some boosted attendance numbers.
David, I love this. So what you're telling us is that the members themselves, maybe board, maybe committee members or other volunteers, are doing direct outreach to people to invite them to become members as well as to join the association. How are you doing this?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think one great thing about the associations that makes my job easier is it's not a small world, but the chief staff executives are easy to find out there. You can do some research and come up with a list of associations and find them. And we have this membership committee that is super involved. The board recently approved new charters for all of our committees. So the membership committee has been reimagined and more strategic this year and has 2 different segments within the membership committee. One is about membership recruitment and the other is about membership retention. And then all of our membership committee members also serve as new member mentors. So we were working off of a prospect list and we met monthly the 5 months or so leading up to annual. And every committee member took 10 prospects and did some direct outreach, and not in a real aggressive selling way, but hey, if you're interested in some really terrific association management learning opportunities, some peer exchanges, some great networking, this is a great place to be. I've been a member for 5 years, and it's been a really powerful experience. Would love to have you join us at our annual conference. And by the way, since it's your first time, you can get the member rate here. And you can also get a discount on joining if you join right after the event. So I think that really helped us boost those first time numbers at annual.
Is this new? Is this something that you brought to VSAE, this business of members really doing the outreach directly? I love this.
Yeah, it's new. And I got to give major credit to our volunteer leaders on the membership committee. The board approved a new charter prior to me stepping in, but huge shout out to the membership committee chair, Kathy Gusky, who served as chair for the last year. And she's with the American Institute of Architects Virginia chapter. And she was great at bringing people together, continuing to push the agenda forward. The group met monthly, the 5 months or so leading up to annual, which was more frequent and just higher level of activity, I think, than they had before. And the membership committees were just so willing to identify prospects, do that direct outreach. And then also when we got on site, they all served as mentors and warm points of contact for all of our first timers, just to help them feel welcome to an event that they're stepping into for the first time.
I love this. I actually say that if you're attending a conference for the first time and you're by yourself, it's like middle school and it's miserable.
Yeah.
Because so many people know other people. It's like family reunion for them, and it's hard to break into those little cliques and clusters.
100%.
But if you have an intentional process for welcoming new people, they'll come every year.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we talk about it too. Like if you actually develop friends at the association, I mean, that's like,
yeah,
I want to go back somewhere where my friends are. I mean, that's huge. So,
oh my God, it's a friend gathering. It's a family reunion.
Exactly. And I think we've all been to those conferences where, all right, you show up and it's obvious. Most people here already know each other. They've known each other for years. Like, how do I break in? Which is why we were really intentional about designing the agenda. The very first event of annual conference is a new member first timers reception. And so the first event that they show up to within the conference, they have 3 of our veteran members looking out for their badge that says first timer or new member on it. And they immediately welcome them. So you're not having to show up and be like, all right, who do I talk to first here? You have people kind of approaching them and being like, oh, thank you so much for coming. We emailed together. I'm Kathy. I'm the membership committee chair. And then they put a face with a name. And it's just that warm connection right off the bat. And that sets the stage for a great conference the next couple of days.
So you're telling me that the leadership is trained to specifically look for first-time attendees and introduce themselves?
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
So before every single one of our events, I'll send a list of first timers and new members to the membership committee. And they all take assignments and do outreach before the event and say, hey, look for me. I'll be wearing a blue blazer. Let's meet up at the beginning. So there is no showing up and being like, do I know anyone here? Who can I talk to? So they're trained for that. Everyone likes a ribbon, right? So we order new member ribbons for our new members that show up. So they're easily identifiable, even if a member isn't on the membership committee. We have so many great veteran members, board members, other committee members, past presidents. So they know to look out for those people and just make sure that they feel welcome right off the bat.
Well, normally you don't want to wear the new attendee or new member ribbon, right? Because you don't want to be the newbie, but you've made it something great because so many people are now looking for you and introducing themselves. You're like the rock stars.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're kind of a VIP when you show up. And to your question about, are they trained? And yes, absolutely. We also kind of separately from these events, we have a whole mentorship program where they have a checklist of outreach touch points, checking in with them 4 times a year. It's a really robust program, and that I can't take credit for that. That preceded me, but it's really smart the way our board and VSAE has done that, because it's a story that any association professional or association management has to go through, that challenge of, okay, a member joins, they're not engaging with the association, don't show up to anything, don't open the emails, year goes by and hey, they're not going to renew. And it's like, well, why didn't you engage? Well, that's sometimes on the association and the members to make sure that they know what's available to them. And people are busy. They need reminding about what's out there for them. So that's where the mentorship program really helps.
Wow. David, I used to be in fundraising. And, we always said in fundraising that people don't give to causes, they give to people.
Absolutely.
And what you're doing is you're giving people a reason to engage. If I get a phone call from David Walsh and he says, hey, I hope I'm going to see you at the ball game next week or the networking event, and, I've got a friend that I want to introduce you to, who wouldn't want to come?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've been in fundraising myself, with sponsorship sales for Snack International. That's exactly right. It all goes back to those relationships. And you got to develop those relationships right off the bat and strengthen them and nourish them and foster them. Because, when it comes time to do that fundraising or make an ask or find a speaker, if the relationship is in place and it's, a friendly one, then it just makes all the difference in the world.
David, I want to turn to something different that you're doing also. You're creating learning pathways. This sounds really interesting. Tell us about that.
Yeah, thanks so much for asking about that. This is an initiative that was born out of our professional development committee, which also has a new charter, but the board has fully endorsed this and helped push it forward as well. But it speaks to the fact that, hey, if you're in associations and there's so many different roles and career stages, some people are new CEOs. There's those that have been in association leadership for decades. We have education that kind of speaks to and is tailored for any kind of career role or stage. And it's kind of came to life at our annual conference last week in Williamsburg, because we have all these breakout sessions. I think we had 12 different sessions. And I think a lot of people have been to a conference where, hey, there's 4 sessions going on at the same time. They all look good. Which one do I choose? So we created these learning pathways, not as tracks based on title, but more about providing a recommendation for, hey, if you're just getting into associations, think about attending these 3 sessions. Or, hey, if you just stepped into executive director role, these 3 sessions might be relevant for you. So just an easy way for them to create their agenda. But most importantly, it's about meeting our members where they are and making sure that we're providing for their needs and what they need to learn about and what will actually benefit them professionally as well as their organization in really practical ways.
So these learning pathways go beyond the conference, it sounds like. They kind of encompass the entire association. So if I'm an experienced meeting planner or I'm a new GR person or I'm a new chief staff exec, you're going to help me navigate what to do next for my professional development.
Yeah, absolutely. It came to light for the first time at our annual conference, but it's really going to flow through all the events and offerings that we have because, I think many people can speak to this. They see a program or a topic and they're like, I don't know, is that really right for me? But we could have, one event and it says like, who should attend? And it's new executive directors or new membership managers. And we even did that with our Northern Virginia programming that you were a part of in April. Kind of gave a recommendation based on like, okay, if you're in this role, this might be an important session for you. And it was really born too out of, so much of what we do is for CAE credit. And one of our charges with our professional development committee is to make sure that we're not only spanning all the different domains within CAE. We don't want to just only provide like executive leadership, for example, but again, providing education that speaks to any stage of your association career or any role. So it's really going to flow through all of the different programming that we offer. And we already have a really strong base for this. We do retreats and summits, we call them, that are tailored directly for career roles. So we have a CEO and senior staff retreat. We have a meeting planner summit. We have a summit just for association management companies, and the list goes on.
Wow. David, you and I met a couple of weeks ago because you did a Northern Virginia exchange, and you said that that's kicking off more events in Northern Virginia. So talk to me about this expansion strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. And, kind of goes back to our membership conversation. Northern Virginia, DC, Maryland, it's the hub for associations, right? Nationally.
Number 1 market, right?
So many associations, so many association professionals up there. And I think a lot of them, and we saw this firsthand at our annual conference as well as the Northern Virginia Association Exchange, a lot of them are looking for their home, somewhere they can go to, in person regularly and frequently and learn, but also meet with their peers and exchange ideas and talk about their challenges and talk about the future of associations. So we launched this program and we have Northern Virginia task force members that were really instrumental as well about launching this program. And we were intentional about putting out 3 programs for the entire year. So, if you're an association professional in Northern Virginia and planning on how to engage, you can see all 3. You can sign up for all 3. You can say, I can't make this one, but I'm going to put these next 2 on my calendar. So it wasn't just one-off programs. We rolled out all 3 at once. Our next one is coming up in July, and it's going to really focus on this topic of like strategic partnerships and non-dues revenue, sponsorship, and growing events. So that'll be a great one for kind of event professionals, fundraisers, but also, senior executives. Many associations are struggling with what to do with their trade shows or how many events they have since COVID, that dip in attendance for their events, and are people coming back? So it's going to talk about that, but also strategic partnerships as a way to grow events and non-dues revenue. So that'll be in July. And then the next one in October. And it's kind of all about this topic of member engagement. And the title of that one is Customer Success is Your Success. Member engagement flows through all associations. And I think that's going to be a really important one about how do you measure engagement? Why are members engaging with your association? And kind of just continuing to ask that why question. It was like, okay, you came to this event. Why did you come to it? You went to this session. Why did you come to it? What did you get out of it? So really going deep on member engagement and why members engage, or why are they not engaging with your association, and what to do about it.
Well, I really enjoyed the exchange. And what was striking to me was how much time you built in for just conversation and how much people seem to really need that.
It was great to see. And each association exchange program will be structured similarly, at least for this year. So about a half hour or so of networking in the morning, 2 hours of education, 2 CAE credits, by the way, and then another an hour and a half or so of lunch.
Yeah.
And conversation. And it was great to see that, we went through our sessions. Your panel was about AI, and it was amazing because, it's more about AI strategy and what culture needs to be in place, as opposed to like diving deep in the tools, which I think, given the diversity of attendance there, it was exactly the right framework. But it was great to see after the sessions that people just kind of grouped up and started talking and didn't really want to leave. And
everybody stayed.
Yeah, there was no like pushing of them that you need to like, okay, everyone sit here or there. People just kind of pulled up chairs. And I just think, again, that speaks to the need for association community in that area, but throughout Virginia.
Yeah. David, before we go, your strategic plan goes through the end of the year, and you've got a board retreat coming up. Lots of my clients are going through strategic planning right now. So what are you going to be talking about? What's next for VSAE?
Yeah, and I think that speaks to one of your earlier questions about, and if anyone is listening to this that is in associations that might be thinking about stepping into a senior leadership role or executive director role, this board, and it's an interesting makeup with VSAE because all of my board members also run their association. So it's a little bit different than a typical association where they're all used to implementing their own strategic plans and executing them. But our strategic plan goes technically through 2026. It's been about 4 main priorities, the strategic plan. So it's about creating an engaged and inclusive community, developing leaders and individual growth, and elevating the association profession, and then innovating VSAE's business model. And that last point kind of speaks to the fact of, okay, VSAE shouldn't be afraid to try new things and serve as a laboratory for associations, because our members can see if it worked, or if it didn't work, then, hey, maybe they don't need to try it. Or if we try something new event format, new technology, you see, hey, that was really great. Maybe we should look at implementing this within our own association. So I know that wasn't directly your question, but the board retreat coming up June 1st and 2nd, it'll be an offsite opportunity. Great chance we have a couple of new board members to get integrated into the board. We have a new board president stepping in, Bruce Whitehurst from Virginia Bankers Association. He's taking the reins from Abby Tamman from Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors, who did an amazing job over the last year. And just huge shout out to her, because I stepped in halfway through her tenure, but she was amazing at getting me up to speed and working so closely with me. But that will be a great opportunity to kind of see where we've made progress on our strategic plan. And we're not launching a new one for the next couple of years, but kind of talking about where we made progress. What's VSAE going to look like in 10 years? What does an ideal member look like? And, maybe start to hatch and provide the framework for our new strategic plan. So the board has been great about everything that we do should fit somewhere in our strategic plan. And if it doesn't, then really we shouldn't be doing it. So it's been a great way to make sure that our resource allocation has been razor sharp. And I'm just excited to bring the board together and look back on all we've accomplished the past couple of years and then really look and strategize for the future.
David, those are markers of a good board.
Absolutely.
I want to thank you for being on the podcast today. Wow, this has been a masterclass in recruiting and engagement. So I got to share this podcast really widely, and you got to come back because I want to hear about your year and what you're up to in 2027. Thank you.
Anytime. Thank you so much, Joanna, for having me. It was a real pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Associations Thrive. We're so glad to have you here. You know, my personal mission and the mission of my company, Matrix Group International, is to help associations and nonprofits increase membership, generate revenue, and thrive in the digital space. I want to hear stories of how your organization is thriving in today's challenging landscape. Please apply to be on my show by going to podcast.matrixgroup.net. By the way, do you need help with a digital initiative? Maybe it's a website redesign, a new membership database, or a hybrid meeting that you're planning. I'd love to connect with you. Please visit the Matrix Group website at matrixgroup.net. Thanks again for listening to this week's episode of Associations Thrive. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a 5-star rating, post a comment, and share it with your colleagues and friends.